In 2010, Bahrain played an international friendly against Togo. Except the real Togo were not there. The 11 men in Togo shirts that night had never played for Togo. Not one of them. Nobody at Togo's football federation had picked them. Nobody at Togo's federation even knew the match was happening. Bahrain won it 3-0 against a national team that did not exist. This is how somebody faked an entire national team. So how do you play a full international against nobody? It starts with how the fixture got made. Bahrain are preparing for the Gulf Cup, and they want friendlies. But international friendlies aren't arranged by two federations talking to each other. They're arranged by agents. A middleman finds a willing opponent, sets a date, agrees a fee, books the flights. Bahrain go to an agent they've used before with a good record. The agent offers them Togo, and the paperwork comes back clean. A full squad list. Names, dates of birth, passport numbers. Everything a federation would ask for, in exactly the format a federation expects. The match is approved, and it goes in the calendar. So why does nobody in Bahrain read that squad list and stop? Because of what the previous 4 years had done to Togo. In 2006, Togo qualify for their first ever World Cup. They have Emmanuel Adebayor, one of the best-known African footballers in the world. For a country of 6 million, it's the highest point in its sporting history. Then, in January 2010, the team bus is attacked by gunmen in Angola on the way to the Africa Cup of Nations. 3 people traveling with the squad are killed. Togo withdraw from the tournament and fly home. What follows is months of argument between the government and the federation, and a suspension that leaves Togolese football in chaos. Some players retire from the national team. Others refuse to travel. So a Togo squad full of names nobody recognizes does not look like a scam. It looks like a country rebuilding. So the lie didn't have to be clever. It just had to fit the moment Togo was already in. The team flies in. They arrive in Togo's colors, green and yellow and red. They check into a hotel, like any visiting national side. And on the day of the match, the first crack appears. A squad list is handed over at the stadium. It does not match the list Bahrain were sent in advance. Different names. It gets noticed. And the match goes ahead anyway. Because by now there's a stadium, a referee, a television slot, and 11 men in Togo shirts standing in the tunnel. Nobody wants to be the person who cancels an international an hour before kickoff. Bahrain kick off against Togo. Within about 10 minutes, their coach knows something is wrong. Joseph Hickersberger has managed Austria at a European championship. He's watched a lot of football, and what's in front of him doesn't look like an international team. The first touch is wrong. The shape is wrong. Above all, they cannot run. Players are exhausted long before halftime. Bahrain score. Then they score again. Then a third. 3-0, and it could comfortably have been more. Afterwards, Hickersberger doesn't hide his irritation. He says they weren't fit enough to play 90 minutes. Not fit enough, he says, to represent even a club team. He says the game was boring and useless because he'd wanted to find out how strong his own side was, and he has learned nothing at all. He's closer to the truth than he knows. He has learned nothing because there was nothing there to learn. The result goes out on the wires. Bahrain 3, Togo 0. And eventually it reaches Togo, where the Togolese Football Federation reads that its national team has just played a match in Bahrain and lost it. They hadn't sent a team to Bahrain. They had not sent anybody anywhere. And their coach, Thierry Frogger, can account for his squad exactly. 3 days before the Bahrain match, the real Togo had played Botswana, away in Gaborone, in an Africa Cup of Nations qualifier. Afterwards, the squad scattered back to their clubs, the way squads always do. Frogger says it was impossible for any of them to have been in Bahrain. He doesn't know who played that match, only that they were not his players. The head of the federation, General Saim Memin, puts it less gently. The players who took part against Bahrain, he says, were completely fake. His federation has not sent any team of footballers to Bahrain. And now 2 federations are staring at the same impossible fact. A full international had been played between 1 real country and 11 strangers in the right shirts. The man behind it does not stay a mystery for long. His name is Bonachannel, and he is not some outsider who talked his way in. He's a former coach of the Togo national team. On the day of the match, he's also serving a ban. Once before, he'd taken a group of Togolese players to Egypt for matches nobody had authorized. He was banned for 2 years for it. So he does the same thing again, only far larger. He assembles a squad of players with no caps and no claim to be there. He gets them Togo kit, and he takes them 3,500 miles to play a full international. When it all comes out, Togo banned him for 3 more years. Channel apologizes. He says he was trying to give young players a chance, an opportunity they'd never have been given at home. That may even be partly true, but it does not explain the fee, or what reporters found underneath it. Within days, the Telegraph linked the fixture to a betting syndicate operating out of Southeast Asia, and to a name that would become the most notorious in football corruption, Wilson Raj Peramal. And with a fixer behind it, the whole thing changes shape. Because the money in a fake international is not the appearance fee. To a bookmaker, a fixture like this is barely a football match at all. It's one line on a board. Bahrain versus Togo, in a list of 200 fixtures, in a market taking bets in dozens of countries at once. Nobody watches it. Nobody knows the players. The odds come off the 2 names, because the 2 names are all anyone has. And that's the weakness. If you own one of the teams completely, you don't have to bribe a player, or reach a referee, or guess. You know the result before kickoff, because you're the result. The market is still pricing it as Togo. That's why a fake team is worth the trouble of building. The match fee was never the point. The point was a real, listed, bettable football match whose outcome you already own. Bahrain never played Togo that night. FIFA had not sanctioned the match, so it's in no official record. It counts for nothing. It moves no ranking. Officially, on the 7th of September, 2010, nothing happened in Manama. The players went home, and back into anonymity. Most of them were never named. Almost none of them ever played international football again, because none of them ever had. Channel served his ban. Somebody was always going to try this. What should worry you is how little was standing in the way. No verification. No checks at the airport. Nobody asking who these men were. Just a list of names on headed paper, a set of shirts in the right colors, and a room full of professionals who all assume that a national team is simply whoever turns up wearing it. Peramal was arrested the following year. By then he'd reached matches on 4 continents, including World Cup qualifiers. His full story is already on this channel, and it's on screen now.